My mother was on the early vanguard of the Republican Party. Her belief was that two vibrant, competitive parties would be better for our political system. I didn't care whether you were on the far left or the far right, but I did believe it was important, like my mom, to help other people. All I really cared about is that you were working in good faith.
And when he first decided to run for the legislature, it was a pleasant development.
It wasn't flamboyant, anything like that, but very steady.
Was the kind of person that was a consensus builder.
Welcoming of suggestions and ideas.
The most inclusive speaker we've seen in modern Texas.
At the time, I thought he would make a good member, but had no idea what the future was going to hold.
People became disenchanted and they wanted new leadership. And then several Republicans began to run, and finally someone talked him into, why don't you throw your hat in too?
I think there were 11 or 12 of us in the room. We went around and said, are you going to be a candidate or not? I said, yeah, sure, what the heck, I'll do it.
Being new, that was a negative because nobody knew him. But then on the other hand, he didn't have any baggage.
Speaker Straus's vision and values closely align with those of CPPP. His biggest accomplishments would include the changes in education, attention to mental health, the water plan. We were in a crisis mode, and the Speaker challenged the House to come up with funding mechanisms so that communities across the state could have access to water.
The appointments that he made, they were very diverse, recognizing that having women and Latinas at the table was important.
Speaker Straus is a product of public education.
He was Speaker when they put together the School Finance Commission.
Every step of the way, he was really a champion for public ed.
We would kill legislation because we were concerned about who was using the toilet.
Political actors are intentionally trying to tear our culture apart, tear our people apart from one another.
I knew that he would stand up and he would ultimately do what was right. And what was right was protecting innocent children from being pawns in a political game.
And it was just so crass and mean. Can that really be the top priority in the state of Texas?
He did what was right for the right reasons, despite the consequences.
I understand the pressures of being the man in the middle. I understand the weight, and it impacts family, and it impacts health, all kinds of things.
Very close-knit family. We've been married now 31 years. I've always believed, and this is the lesson that I learned from my mom, that it's important for every citizen, whether you're elected or not elected to office, to stay engaged. I always tried to listen to both sides of an issue, and the CPPP was an entity that I didn't always agree with, but I always respected where they were coming from because they believe in data. Facts and data ought to be important to policymakers.
Well, I hope his legacy will be that it's important to have civility in the House of Representatives.
He was a great leader for every session that he was here. I miss him.
I wish that we had the leadership of Joe Straus for Texas for a much longer time.